name is Parker.
And my name is Ned.
And this is the Force Unlimited, yet another Star Wars Unlimited podcast. This is August 10th, 2 weeks after Galactics. This is episode number 40. And to the best of my knowledge, FFG has not announced that our Galactic champion, Philip Skuderlek, a.k.a. Baton, is going to get to design a Star Wars Unlimited card. That's how I'm opening the episode every 2 weeks until we hear otherwise or we go to Vegas again. That is a proud tradition.
Yes.
I stand by it.
No, absolutely. You got to do it. Yeah.
Fantasy Flight did it for Game of Thrones, Netrunner. They did it for another CCG called Cthulhu, and they also did it for not Destiny, but the Star Wars license game they had previously, Star Wars, a card game, the LCG, also had, you got to design cards if you won at sectors or regionals, the equivalents thereof. So, Baton better get to design a card. I am dying on that hill. I will just, every episode, beat that drum. Dear listener, tonight's episode has two topics, but first, as always, we talk about the match we just played. We played the match that just came, the final match of Galactics, which was a great match to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I did not enjoy the match to play, but Ned, I also went, Ned playing Talzin, which he has been on and took to Galactics, I'm sure felt very familiar to you.
Oh, yeah. No,
but the Lego Pizza's, the Bothan Network's Kylo Red is so fundamentally different than Kylo ECL. So I was like, oh, well, I've got it. No. And Red Blue Villainy is not traditionally my jam. That is
I love Red Blue Villainy. That's perfectly my home. I love both of the final stacks. The fact that Bothan Network came with such, honestly, an out of left field deck feels amazing. It really shows that even with the volume of matches being played, there's a lot of undiscovered space. And Philip's Talzin red deck, it basically felt like what I took to Galactics, but better. So, because he's better than I am. So, yeah.
The list was, I think, surprisingly close. He runs a few cards that you did not, and you've come around to. But also, I think, compared to a lot of people we were talking about Talzin Red, I think you were high on a lot of the same cards that maybe a lot of other people weren't.
Yes.
I think, the Force Throw notwithstanding, I think one of the things I enjoyed about the final match, not playing it, but watching it, was that even though both decks were Red-Blue Villainy, that speaks to the pool.
Yeah.
Right? Like Force Throw, etc. But also, yet the decks are fundamentally different archetypes. Right?
Yes.
Like Talzin being a aggro into mid-range deck, and Kylo being a soft control, and yet they're in the same aspects, in the same meta. Maybe there's an argument to be made that it's because certain cards are very strong, but I also just think it speaks to that there's a breadth of archetypes using the same colors.
To just go a little bit deeper, I would argue that Kylo is a combo control list. Like, it is attempting to control the board in the early game, and then it has its critical turn, and that critical turn is the 7 to 8 resource turn, depending on the way that things shake out, and it can basically immediately take over the board and kill you.
Sorry, Ned. You may be confused. You may have thought I was referring to soft control as opposed to hard control, and I was just pointing out that combo players are soft.
Oh, damn! Shots fired.
So, dear listener, there's so many breakdowns of these decks. Ned and I had fun playing them as our evening matchup. Not a lot to offer there. Tonight we have two topics, and I want to give a heads up. We're going to talk about Galactics. But don't leave yet, and then we're going to talk about some NedMath for two sets that we have not talked about NedMath yet. However, we have to talk about Galactics. Ned got to do a panel where they comped our room. We were sent, the swag. We're on the swag train. This gorgeous mat by E.J. De La Cruz for The Size Matters Not. So we have to talk about our experience there, but. Mm-hmm. We're mindful. We're 2 weeks late to the party, and I know personally that sometimes when there's an event that you can't go to because of time or money or other commitments to family, whatever, sometimes you're hungry and you want to hear everything, and other times you don't. Like sometimes you're just like, I don't know if I want to hear about that, about how awesome it was, or even how terrible it was, or whatever. So Ned and I are not going to cover, I don't think, to any great extent, the prize wall,
Nope.
The Galactic Champion itself,
Nope.
the lines,
Nope.
the Venetian, anything like that. That's been covered. You do not want to hear a rambling 90-minute reflection on our trip to Las Vegas. Instead, Ned and I have curated 5 mildly interesting anecdotes, each about Galactics. And so, if that's cool, stick around. And if it's not, through the power of editing, I will tell you that you can skip ahead to 37 minutes and 52 seconds. And that's when we're talking about NedMath. So you can just skip forward to the juicy stuff and not hear us talk about Las Vegas. So we're going to do 5 anecdotes. But before we do 5 anecdotes, I think we had a really great time.
Yes.
So I think Ned and I are going to take 1 minute to gush. I'm going to put 60 seconds on the timer.
All right.
And this is our gushing, but we're going to do it in 1 minute, 30 seconds each, so that it doesn't outstay our welcome. So Ned, you just start talking when I say go, and when I start talking, you stop talking. You have 30 seconds to say all the cool stuff, regardless of whether it's interesting. So on your mark, get set, go.
It was really amazing being there. I mean, I've never been to Vegas before. Vegas is a lot, but like the space and the environment, it was really great to be surrounded by so many people. It felt like going to other tournaments that I've been to, other major events, and it really felt great to be around so many like-minded people and to have so much like positive energy. And even when there were gripes, I think everybody was really invested in the game and everybody was really invested in the community, and it just felt awesome to be around all that energy. Also,
the most important energy was you, dear listener. I think it was incredible to meet all of you. So many of you came out basically nonstop. Ned and I were kind of overwhelmed. They came over and say hi. Thank you so much. The X-Wing was flown in from Europe. That was great as a parent to be able to send photos of that to my kid. And I will say the casting was fantastic. And with the stage, that truly felt like, I mean, one of the first photos I took was the stage. I said, this feels galactic. That was incredible. That's 1 minute. We're done. We're done gushing. We will now try to commit to being interesting for the rest of the night. And we have math, so we can be some minimum number of interesting. But first, 5 anecdotes each. Ned, you're up first. Your first anecdote about Galactics that you think our dear listeners might enjoy.
The SWU PDX photo shoot. I had no idea that we would represent in the numbers that we did. And it was really amazing to see everybody from the community there. The fact that we had, I think, like 30 people under the X-Wing, that was just a blast.
There was a lot of us, and on the same plane back, right? Like, the same plane down. Like, there weren't many. It was, I think, actually, no, there was nobody on the plane down. I think you and I were the only ones dumb enough to fly down at like 5 a.m. Especially since turns out the road to the airport was closed the morning Ned and I flew out, so we had to get up real early to be able to make our 7 a.m. departure real early. But yeah, so many people came back, and being on a plane with like 8 other SWU people on Monday. Yeah, it was a huge turnout, and being able to see Peter, if you're listening, I'm a double extra L. I will take 2. I do not spend as much time. Neither Ned is not a Discorder at all, and I do not spend a lot. I spend too much time in too many Discords, but I desperately want those SWU PDX shirts. Every time I go to events, they have these. Star Wars Unlimited Portland has its own shirt. It's not even a team shirt. It's just, hey, Portland. Again, we talk about how many stores we have. We really like Star Wars Unlimited here. And I want one of those shirts desperately, and I never remember to get it. But yeah, that was really great.
Parker, what's your number 5?
I'm really excited to start off with this one. So I cheated at Galactics, and I'm just opening with the banger. And I bring this up because I get to dunk on 2 very prominent content creators with nothing but love. My worst fear came true. So 8 months ago. So I'm all in on the dark saber sleeves. These are if you haven't, I'm sure you've seen them. The dark saber sleeves. I think they're amazing. They're just great. I like all the saber sleeves, but the dark sabers especially. There is, however, one saber sleeve I don't like, and I once accidentally bought the Ahsoka white saber sleeves, and It's going to take a moment for my webcam to even catch up. Dear listener, you can't see these, but if you look online, they're basically the same thing. I bought this by accident because they're almost so indistinguishable from the Darksaber sleeve. GameGenic puts out wonderful products, and I understand there's only so many colors in the rainbow, and Disney has used them all for lightsabers, so you have to use them all for sleeves, but there's a high risk of accidentally putting the wrong one in. So I bought this by accident. I noted in Discord that, ooh, wow, these look a lot alike, but I'm just going to throw away this pack of white lightsaber sleeves. When Justin from the Garbage Rollers, who you will hear about a bit tonight, but Inception on Discord, as you may know, and Ryback Stun both pointed out that no, don't throw away the sleeves. Just set them aside. You can use them for a limited event, for a draft. You'll be glad to have them. So I was reticent. My fear was that I would accidentally mistake the two. And I have about 1,000 of these, and I have one pack of the whites. And lo and behold, on Sunday, I found out I have been rocking one card, Underwhelming. One of my 3 copies of Underwhelming Barrage has been rocking a white lightsaber sleeve the whole weekend. And now I went 0-3. Drop. I scooped every game. Not that I would have necessarily done better, but I scooped every game. So I lost every game, and it was just one of 3 unintentionally. But the thing that kills me about it is I was running Kylo ECL, which runs Legal Authority. So at the end of every match, I want to make sure I'm giving back any cards that I'm capturing. So I immediately flip over my deck and I go through all of my card backs to look for a card back that's not my card back to hand to the other people. Powers of observation are my powers of observation are legendary. Did not clock this until Sunday afternoon that I've been cheating. So yeah, I technically cheated at Galactic Championship. I can open with that one. I feel great. That was vindication. Not only did I accidentally take one of the white sleeves instead of the Darksaber sleeves to an event, but I took it to the only Galactic Championship I will ever participate in. So thank you, Justin. Thank you, Ryback. I cheated at Galactics. Ned, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is actually getting to put faces to names. So there's a lot of Star Wars content creators out there, and I know a lot of them mostly by Discord handles and like their hands playing cards. I don't really know their faces as much, and so being able to get dinner with the Garbage Rollers, and then dinner with the Garbage Rollers, and then dinner with the Garbage Rollers was.
Yeah, we ended up with that in a lot. Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, great.
3 fantastic dinners, 3 fantastic conversations. So yeah. We had appetizers with the content creator dinner where we got to meet a lot of faces to a lot of people. My favorite moment, this one is actually probably going to go up as one of my favorite even non-swoon moments just in life. So as you know, dear listener, if you've been following along with us for this long, you know probably 2 things about Ned. I think it's fair to say that Ned tends to try to avoid spending money he doesn't have to spend. And Ned may not watch a ton of movies. So Ned and I have never been to Vegas, either of us.
No.
Heist movies are my second favorite genre of movies. So I've seen, after Catholic conspiracies, but heist movies are actually a much more common theme.
Name of the Rose mentioned?
What?
Name of the Rose mentioned?
Yeah. So I've seen so many movies, a classic trope in heist movie set in Vegas is to explain how casinos are structured and designed and all of the history of casinos and so forth. So we stayed at the Venetian. Thank you, Fantasy Flight.
Thank you, Fantasy Flight.
So we got in on Thursday. So Friday morning, we need to grab some coffee and some breakfast before we go to the main championship. Ned's focused, but not to be deterred from traditional patterns. Ned is like, we got to get out. The prices in the Venetian.
It's $17 for eggs.
Don't ruin the end of the joke. Don't ruin the end of the joke.
Okay.
So Ned is like, it's too much to cost, too much to eat here. We're going to leave the casino to buy a cheaper breakfast, which I immediately text our wives saying Ned's about to try to leave the casino to get a cheaper breakfast. And so we walk around and we had gone out Thursday night. So we had left Thursday night. So we knew it was possible to leave the casino, but. And we had walked in. We had taken a lift out, and then we had walked back along the strip. So we had, on foot, entered the casino. So obviously, on foot, we could leave the casino, but we could not. And we walked past a coffee bean. We went outside, but not really outside, to the fake outside that is actually still inside the casino. And then eventually we come back to the Coffee Bean. We're just walking past it again. And finally, I have a photo on my phone of Ned broken down eating 2 scrambled eggs and a cup of black coffee for $18. That trajectory was inevitable. Just like,
Yeah.
I mean, played out exactly like a heist movie. You sit down, okay, I know what's going to happen, which is that we're going to pay too much for a breakfast here in the casino. But what I want to find out is how do we get there, right? Just like a heist movie. And we just wandered around forever before paying $18 for breakfast. That killed me. I enjoyed that the whole weekend. It's still funny to me 2 weeks later. That will never not be funny to me. That was a great kickoff to Galactics. Ned, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is an experience that we actually had escaping the casino, and that was traveling to the Taco Bell Wedding Cantina, which you may...
What is the Taco Bell Wedding Cantina?
This is a flagship Taco Bell store in Las Vegas where you can get married, and they will give you a sauce bouquet to throw and a Taco Bell garter belt and just all the fixins that you could ever want. So being a Taco Bell aficionado, I strong-armed Parker into going with me on Thursday, and it was a trip. But we got there, and we arrived, and first it looks like an ordinary Taco Bell, but there's an upstairs, but they had these signs blocking off the upstairs saying wedding in progress. And so there was a little bit of debate, but I noticed there was an alternate path to the upstairs that was not blocked off by signs. And so I went upstairs, and
we discovered there's always a wedding in progress at the Taco Bell Wedding Cantina. Even if there's no bride and groom,
yes,
there's just always a wedding in progress. There's just a DJ playing whatever song you would expect in a Hollywood movie about a wedding.
Yes.
We walked in to You Spin Me Right Round, and it just kind of went downhill from there music-wise. That was an experience.
It
was. I enjoy beer at Taco Bell. That made it more palatable.
Yeah.
That was a schlep.
Dear listeners, if you're thinking about getting married in Las Vegas, consider the Taco Bell Wedding Cantina for all of your wedding needs. They don't let you keep the sauce bouquet, though. So,
we're never going to get sponsored by GameGenic or Metal Fab or anything like that, but there's a non-zero chance we end up getting sponsored by Taco Bell on the weight of your pitch alone, Ned. Non-stop. My number 3 was actually the line experience. I had a great time in line. I'm not going to go on about how many lines there were, but as a surprisingly recognizable person, dear listener, you may not know this, especially if you only listen, but even if you see us on YouTube, you're just seeing these little boxes. I'm 6'6". Ned is not 6'6". I am 6'6". I stand well above almost everybody else, and so every time we got in line, we got a chance to just talk to people, often people we knew from Portland, other content creators, just people who were enthused about the show. It was just fantastic. So I spent some time in line, but I was enjoying all of it, and because I'm always just down for the experience. One of the things that it was just that constant let's just do something new. I want to try this. I want to try that. That one content creator who shall remain nameless out of respect for the deeds that transpired, but I'll admit to doing this. We got invited. I got invited to participate in a win-a-box, where the goal was that we would all win a box. And this didn't sound super fun, but I've never been to any kind of competitive event like this, and I'm always down to clown. I am generally real. If you ask me to do something, even if I'm I don't know about this, I'll probably say yes once just to try it out.
See. Yeah.
Ned and my friendship actually started when he invited me to play Here I Stand, Wars of the Reformation, 15 minutes to 15, and which is if you're not familiar, this is a 8-hour board game where you are recreating a specific 27-year period in Europe during the rise of Protestantism.
Yes.
And Ned's hey, you want to play board games with me? You get to be Henry VIII, and you do not get to play the board game until you sufficiently build out a tableau of cards that results in you getting married to a woman who is fertile and then giving you a viable male heir. So just sit here and play your own card game for 2 hours while the rest of us play this other card game. It was, I mean, I'd probably do it again. It's been a decade, but like that was not my cup of tea. But I knew that wasn't my cup of tea. But how often do you get to play a 8-hour board game about Rise of Protestantism? So I was like, I don't know about this. This feels like, and I feel really bad because clearly people who go to Galactics know, like, people who play these games, like they're hunting down shinies and whatever, like they have plans. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of like, if you know what I mean, and I was like, okay, so one, I'm a lawyer and I really like am bad at reading between the lines, and two, I'm an idiot. So I'm not picking up what you're putting down. I'm going to need you to walk me through expressly what we're doing. And okay. Sure. So let's do that. And then they're like, but we need one more. So I wrote Ned in. But like I genuinely made friends with these people. One of the guys who unfortunately has to remain nameless. I saw him throughout the weekend, just constantly like, bumping fists, like just like, hey, how's, matches going? Like how are your games going? It was absolute ability to just say yes to things and experience things. That line took like so many people I got to meet, so many friends I got to meet. I have to make one addendum. I say that I'm generally down to clown. I'm like on board with whatever. We were invited by another person who shall remain nameless to go to The Empire Strikes Back, and Ned and I turned it down. And I want to point out it's because we are from burlesque plus Star Wars is something. We are one of the Portland is one of the other standing cities. Like Ned, you tried to mention that, and I was like, it can't be the same thing. But no, I went and I actually Googled. Oh yeah, it's literally the same show. We are a standing city for The Empire Strikes Back, in addition to Las Vegas. We're right up there. Why? Because burlesque plus nerds. That's a lot of Portland. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't need to leave home for that. Although that leaving home to go do something we can readily get here. Tell me about vegan food, Ned.
Oh boy, so that was a lot of fun. We went to so I gave the panel, and as part of the panel and hanging out with folks at the content creator dinner, I discovered
can I just say, because it's tooting our own horn and not just talking about how awesome Galactics was. So Ned, every person we talked to, Ned pitched his panel, and I was like, dear God, man, like, who wants to go to a panel at Galactics? Turns out everybody Ned talked to.
Heck yeah!
I think Ned had the second best attendance other than the Secrets reveal panel, which
you gotta shill.
I mean, you can't compete with new cards. Yeah. But so Ned's panel, I mean, it was packed. It was packed, and it was a great panel. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
So I was blown away. Incredible job. So
my only regret is that we weren't able to record it. I think that next time I'm gonna, in the event that I'm invited to give a panel next year, or at a future Galactics event, I will do my dangest to make sure that I've got all the video recording equipment set up, and then ask somebody to man the camera or person.
Which is where we learned that Craving Power is referred to as by the some of the devs as Underwhelming Barrage. Which one, that's hilarious name. Two, I actually will often prefer Craving Power to Overwhelming Barrage. Like even outside of Kylo ECL, if I have my druthers. So I don't feel like that's fair, but I'm also a terrible player. So what do I know? So you gave the panel, Ned. I'm stealing your thunder.
Yeah, no. And the panel was amazing. I think that all of the panelists gave really great answers, but one of the things that I found out at the panel was that MJ was scheduled to be on the panel, kind of. So I was given the list of devs and designers who were supposed to be on the panel, and MJ was not on the list, and MJ was not on the schedule. But then when I talked to MJ right before the panel, they're like, "Yeah, hey, I'm here on the panel," and they were great. I thought it was, they gave really amazing answers. They were really insightful. I think honestly, outside of Danny Schaefer, MJ was the one who had the most fun stories, and I think that's just because everybody was kind of deferring to Danny out of respect. But I discovered at the content creator dinner that MJ is vegan, and my wife is vegan, and so I eat a non-zero amount of vegan food, and it turns out that there was a non-trivial contingent of content creators that are vegetarian or vegan who were there, and surprisingly, Vegas doesn't seem to be like a big vegan food town outside of very specific experiences. So
I don't understand why you find the indulge in everything town not catering to the actually don't indulge.
I mean, you've gotta have options for for indulgence for the people who indulge differently.
Don't indulge.
Yeah. We tried to organize people for like blackout, where this is a vegan dining completely in the dark, where the servers have night vision goggles. Didn't work out, but we managed to take MJ to a vegan sushi restaurant off the strip that was like a good 20-minute taxi ride away. And that was a grand old time, and it was fun just chatting and getting to know the devs personally. I mean, I think that people have a lot of preconceptions about the kinds of people who are maybe like serious game designers, but it was really refreshing to talk to people who are like really serious big person pants game designers and see their takes on things.
I'm not a vegan person, and I want to.
I'm not a vegan person either, but I eat a considerable amount of vegan food.
I don't, and I want to say I feel bad because I ordered General Tso's chicken at a vegan dim sum and sushi restaurant, and I am not the person who just generally goes to General Tso's chicken, but I already felt like I was gambling enough with a vegan food. But do it again in a heartbeat because the conversation was incredible, the insight was incredible, and
yes,
very kind. So that was an absolute blast. My number 2.
Yes.
My ILAC is full, and there's like 3 people, like even less than understand your math, Ned, who just understood what I said. But if you went to YMCA camp in the 90s, you learned about a flower called the ILAC, which stands for I am lovable and capable. It is a flower that grows in your heart. It is watered by the kind words of others. Meeting so many dear listeners was great. That was truly fantastic. But I had a bit of a chain of events that really... I can't even put it into words some of the emotions that I felt. So, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you may know that once upon a time there was a event in Minneapolis, and we were not invited. As I've shared the story, I was not invited. I kind of thought maybe I would have been, and that hurt a little. And I time heals all wounds.
Yes.
And that is not something I bear a grudge about. That is something I got over pretty quickly. Life comes at you fast. But that being said, like, there's always like a moment. There's always that like that little bit of a sting, like childhood pet or something, where like even though you're over it, like it's something. And I have had. I ended up in a situation where I now have a mat I cherish, and we are not aesthetics people as a general rule, and I don't traditionally chase shinies. For the longest time, my favorite mat was the mat that I got Ned to say, "Hey, we're going to be on YouTube," and by virtue of the fact that it was a mat that only we had, and it represented friendship. Then I got this mat illustrated by Guillaume L'Hospital. And this one was available only to the PQ in Seattle, first PQs, Portland and Seattle. It's kind of exclusive, but it's got gorgeous Star Wars Unlimited art. And I loved that mat. Then I got really pumped because we got sent, here's Shinhati and Balin Diptych. I hope my mic I'm not covering up my mic, by Grant Griffin. This feels like we made it. This was sent to us by Fantasy Flight. I love this mat. Thank you, Fantasy Flight. I was talking to another YouTuber, and they were asking, what we were going to try to get done before the next Galactics, where we were going next, and I said absolutely nowhere. Like I have
straight to the ground, baby.
No, I mean, like I want a plateau. Like I want nothing more. Like this is it. We are getting sent free stuff from Fantasy Flight, and we have people who reach out to us. I don't want anything more. I'm already getting everything I could possibly want out of the Force Unlimited. It started as just a conversation with you, Ned, and it continues to offer that. Plus, occasionally we get stuff in the mail. I don't want to go anywhere. So I love that map, and that was my favorite map, the Shin Hati Balin Diptych for a week, because then we got this map, and this is my main map. This is the Deathfield map by Benjamin Paulus. This comes from if you were a VIP, which we were at Galactics, and I love this map because this mat, the way Benjamin Paulus is illustrated, you can't see it on YouTube. You really have to see this mat in person. So I hope somebody at your locals bought a VIP ticket because this mat has just the nature of the illustration. A lot of times mats, I think, lose a little when they're blown up. They're just a little bit of the fidelity. But the way this was illustrated, Benjamin Paulus's style just works when blown up. It's still the card. It looks better on the mat than it does on the card, which I think is a really hard thing to say. I love this mat, and this became my favorite mat for 48 hours. And then we went to the content creator dinner, and I got this mat. And this mat is the content creator exclusive mat. It's the Village Tender mat. This mat, I mean, time heals all wounds, but so does free stuff. Getting to be on the inside in that moment felt like $1,000,000. Like any sadness or remorse or anything I felt, any feeling, any FOMO. It's got to be a Finnish word for homo, the feeling of having missed out, right? Like, all gone. That felt incredible. But what really pushed it over the edge was, so I had it in my bag the next morning, and I have been hitting the panels hard, because if you went to the panels, you got essentially prestige tokens, and they look so good. If you haven't managed to see them,
go to my panels. You'll acquire prestige tokens.
They look legit. I want to run token decks just so that I can use these stunning tokens. But I was trying to hit up some panels, and I didn't make it to the artist panel, which bummed me out. And I was asking about it, and I heard that Reno mentioned that his favorite art was Village Tender, that he's done for Star Wars Unlimited. And so I was like, I'm not normally an artist signature person. They always look so tired. Like, I don't want to go bother them. Like, no. Like, I mean, I understand they're being paid to be there and blah 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 blah, blah, but I don't want to bother them. They look so sad, and I don't want it enough. But I was like, no. If I have a mat that means a lot to me because few people have it. It means a lot to me, and few people have it, and it also is art that means a lot to Reno. I went and I got Reno to sign it, and this mat is now a genuinely cherished possession. I cannot put into words between those like back-to-back moments how much that meant to me. And also, tangent, I've discovered maybe I like mats now. I'm a mat person. This awakened something in me. So I hope I don't spend too much money on mats, because hot dang, now I have a lot of them. I'm gonna have to go buy one of those like wine bottle thingy. That's a great mat storage idea. Yeah, I have to go start talking to people like, how do you buy mats? Also, I can't get too into mats, because I discovered over the weekend I cannot roll a mat to put in a tube to save my life. I had good tubes and cheap tubes, and so bad at it. Like, I 8 attempts to get my it was so bad at it. So Ned, but your number one mildly interesting anecdote.
My number one mildly interesting anecdote was sitting at Yardbird with the PDX SWU crew and watching the finals on Parker's tablet. Parker, you have an excellent tablet. I'm a little sad that we weren't able to convince the staff to put it on the TV. I'm not sure that we tried really hard.
There really weren't like many TVs at the Yardbird. We needed to go to like one with like 40 TVs where one wouldn't have been missed. But we really wanted to go to Yardbird that night. So
yeah. So just like sitting and chatting and watching the finals, it just felt and like the PDX hootin' hollerin' commentary squad, it felt great. I really enjoyed it, and the matches were tense, and it felt like this beautiful capstone and this beautiful moment of like togetherness in competition that I enjoy, and it's one of the reasons why I like competition, why I enjoy like serious people who are striving to be the best that they possibly can be in this kind of a pursuit, and being able to like observe that and appreciate all that is going on. I mean, I a lot of people watch sports. I have watched varying card games for many years now, and I never fail to appreciate watching like a serious match played between high-level competitors, particularly when there's people around me who are equally as invested. And we're in a lovely environment where they're offering fine though overpriced beverages.
We couldn't put the cast on. I've now listened to almost the entirety of the Galactic cast. Shout out to Dan and Charmer and Doa for doing a fantastic job. Also for making my wife laugh at the ridiculousness of casting tabletop card games with like that complete levity. I genuinely enjoyed the narrative and the insight, and also hearing my wife laugh. But we couldn't in the bar hear the cast, so a couple of our better players, Ned included, talked through what was happening, and I definitely had a moment of like, why did we fly to Vegas to watch? We left the event center to watch the match in a bar on a tablet with other people from Portland, and there was definitely a moment of like, we could have done this at home for a lot cheaper. But also just that like camaraderie felt great. Very much enjoyed. Dear listener, going to pull a bait and switch. My number one is a number one with a bullet. It is, I think, more than mildly interesting. I think it is genuinely interesting. I think it is so interesting. We're going to wait 2 weeks to talk about it. We're going to dedicate basically an entire episode to the genuinely interesting moment I had at Galactics. Spoiler alert, it involves not one, but two hearty conversations with Ryan Serrano. No interview, not recorded. Just me and Ryan talking, and I can't wait to share that with you in 2 weeks. So, get hype, and also not tonight, and I'd say I'm sorry about that, but whatever. It's going to be a great episode in 2 weeks. Now, for the reason, one of our pillars of our brand, NedMath.
My name is Monday. I'm a mathematician.
We have 2 sets to talk about tonight. We have Legends of the Force, which they have indicated the numbers go up. The numbers must always go up. This is the first set post rebalancing that Tyler had talked about. We also have Intro Battle Hoth, which is meant to be sold to children at Target and probably not played competitively. Although, fun question that immediately speaks to the technicality of me. Somebody pointed out the challenge, if you can top 64 a sectors or regionals, was one of the IBH leaders. Do they have showcases for those leaders to give you? Because one of the deals is if you are the highest placing person with a leader at a sectors or regionals, there is a showcase waiting for you. My instinct is that is a recipe for disappointment. That is going to be so much hard work and luck to get to somewhere where you're just given like a carbonite box as a consolation prize. But I love that. That's like remember one of the law cases made me angry. You remember when we were kids, Ned? Do you ever remember those Pepsi commercials for the Harrier jet?
Yes.
So it turns out a judge was like, no reasonable person would think that you could buy a Harrier jet for like 5 million Pepsi points or whatever. And I was like, these aren't commercial. And I remember those commercials as a kid, and I remember reading that case in law school and being livid because it was like, what reasonable person? You are marketing these to teenagers. Like, what teenagers like, oh, yeah. What do you mean? It says in the commercial, for 5 million points, you get a VTOL Harrier jet. Anyways, I suspect that's what's going to happen if you take a Battle Hoth leader to and try to get a showcase out of a top 64. It's going to be like, well, no reasonable person. Ned, which math you want to talk about first?
I'm going to talk about the big regression. So I'm going to talk about the big regression, and then we're going to talk about the outcome of the big regression applied to specific sets, because that's like the secondary thing. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is the top 10 cards by current NedMath, because I think that that's a fun way to end the show. So, big regression. I'm not going to go through the entire details of the regression. I'm just going to talk about a couple of new features that I added along with their values. So, hidden did not yet make the cut for being a statistically significant feature.
But it's an evergreen.
It is an evergreen keyword, so I expect that it will make the cut in the future. But right now, it has not made the cut. But what has made the cut and I have had to incorporate are: does the unit ready itself? If the unit readies itself, that's worth about half a point of cost to ready yourself.
And that's where, so that's distinct from ambush.
That is distinct from ambush. This is it readies itself. We have enough.
So this goes to the weird math, Ned, that there have to be more hidden cards than there are cards that ready themselves.
Yes.
It's just all over the place.
In order for something to be statistically significant, like the larger the cost is, the more likely it is that I'm going to pick it out, right? Like, so if something costs you a whole cost point, a whole resource point, it is very likely that I'm going to pick you out. Whereas hidden, I get a sense that that's more of a trinket keyword, and so it's worth less in terms of the relative costing. So
whereas a half resource cost, which is a whole point of NedMath, is significant.
Pretty significant. So, I tried incorporating features for a variety of different traits, and the only trait that came out was droid. Droid is the only statistically significant trait, and
which is wild in a set with they went so hard on creatures and force and so forth.
Well, yeah, but if they're just following the trend line, then it's not like a statistically significant. But being a droid in general, it is worth you get an extra 0.2 worth of cost. So
getting the droid trait makes the card worse.
Yes, so you get more stats in compensation for being a droid, effectively.
Wow. Why do you think that is?
I think that there's a lot of things that also just like incidentally hate on droids. And then I think that also if you look at droids, there's a non-trivial number of them that are somewhat overstated. So like R2 and C-3PO are overstated and show up a fair bit. And so, and there's fewer kind of garbagey droids dragging it down. Although there are plenty of garbagey droids.
That's fair. Yeah, I was about to say so. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. So droid is the only current mechanically interesting trait. All right. What else have we got? If you
heal, it is about the droid value of cost for every hit point that you heal.
And this is heal anything.
Right now, I'm not separating out heal a base versus heal unit.
Or just healing a point.
Healing a point is worth it.
And this is distinct from restore.
This is distinct from restore.
Okay.
The next keyword is fun, and this is a keyword that I've struggled with. So I've noticed that the model tends to have trouble with things at the high end of the cost curve. So things at the high end of the cost curve, very expensive units tend to be much larger than the model would predict. And I think that's because, in general, the developers, the designers expect that at the point that you're getting to like 8, 9, 10 resources, the unit that you're getting out on the other side needs to finish the game. It needs to be sufficiently large that it can just win. But I can't include an additional term that is like explicitly is expensive, because if I do that, the model just overtrains on that, and it's like, oh well, everything that's expensive is expensive, and so I just do that. So I have this current placeholder keyword is big. So if your total stat points, I believe, are 15 or higher, if your total base adjusted stat points are more than 15, you get is big, and is big is generally, if you are large, you are undercosted to the tune of about 3/4 of a resource.
Okay, so this is just that idea of like the warp curve.
Yes.
Just like you hit this point where it goes straight up because we're done. And so it's like, like you've got Annihilator. Like if you make it to 11 resources.
Whoop-de-doo. Spoiler alert, you'll see a lot of those like big capital ships at the very top end of NedMath, things that NedMath thinks are overpowered.
So that is zhuzhing.
Yes.
Right, like that is
Yeah.
you saying I have defined a game design term.
Yes.
Is big, maybe ends the game.
Yep.
When we see a large number of is bigs in the top 10, do you think that's because you've added the is big, or do you think
No, this is compensated for. There were more before I added this term. Before I added this term, you were seeing things like Mythosaur
right.
in the top 10. And Mythosaur's a fine, Zillow Beast, they're fine units, but they're not.
The goal is to get NedMath to be descriptive enough to actually map maybe to the 10 best units in the game.
Yes.
In some ideal world one.
Yes.
So.
Next up, we have number of aspects. Number of aspects. For every aspect that you have, you get about 0.17 cost back. And this is, Parker, your idea of, in general, units that have more aspects are going to tend to be more played because you're having an opportunity cost where, You
heard it here first, folks. Entirely possibly, because I feel like I've been beating that drum since, like, only 100 cards were spoiled out of Spark. Like, no, it's good to have mathematical confirmation of what we all knew.
Yep. I mean, no arguments that I expected it to be there. It's just a matter of, can we mathematize it cleanly? The last two are bounce and cannot attack. Bounce is, do you bounce another unit to hand? If you bounce another unit to a hand, that costs about 1 resource point. So Cantina Bouncer, to give an example, is like a 5-cost 3/5 with bounce. If you didn't have bounce, you expect it to be around 4 cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, I know what bounce is. I don't find anything fascinating about that.
Yeah.
We can now quantify it, though.
It's needed. And then the last thing is cannot attack. And this.
Okay. Question 1: How do we know? I mean, there are what? There's only one card, right? That just is naked. Cannot attack.
There are 3 cards that have kind of naked.
There are 2. No, there's one. There's Lothwolf that just can't attack.
Yes.
But then you have Rampart and
Corporate Defense Shuttle. You've got Corporate
Defense Shuttle just straight can't attack.
Corporate Defense Shuttle just straight can't attack. Bogdo gets
and Rampart.
Rampart gets part of that. Can't attack. It doesn't ready unless. And then there's another ship, I think, and then Bogdo doesn't get this completely, but it gets this partially. I think I assigned it like.
How do you flag that?
I give it a non-integer value for can't attack. I think I gave it like a 0.5, I think, or a 0.7 for can't attack, maybe less than that.
Okay, got it. So you added the quantity of can't attack. You went through all the cards that can attack unless you gave
condition.
Don't ready unless. Is this similar to don't ready?
Don't ready is incorporated into that. And don't ready is incorporated into that. And these are, and again, I assign a value essentially between 0 and 1 that reflects the amount of cannot attack. Where
so
1
has a 1.
1. Right. Corporate Defense Shuttle, 1.
1, right.
Yeah.
And then everything else in between, you figure out like how big a hurdle is it.
This is basically, I run the regression. I guesstimate it and I run the regression and
Another Galactics moment. Ned got asked about his GitHub.
Yes.
Which was like after years now of pitching it, somebody came up and asked where they can see if any of these Ned's variables, etc., and we were able to point them at theforceunlimited.com, which has a link to Ned's GitHub repo for all of this math. So, anyways,
and I will
if
be
you have questions about
after this
how he zhuzhes it.
If you want to argue, you can make a PR, right? Like, there's nothing stopping you from making a PR. If you think that I am,
repo.
Yes, if you think that I am making, like, I have full control over it. I will reject your PR if it's just like stupid. But
all of these cards that suddenly got a Parker likes on a rank of 0 to 1. How statistically significant? Not at all. Okay. What else did we learn, Ned?
So I think that's interesting. And then there is another variable that you'll notice here that is an extension on a previous variable, and that variable and the extension on a previous variables are set LOF and set IBH.
Okay. So, as we knew, last time we talked about this, turns out that after we got the card pool through Jump to Lightspeed, through 4 sets, we had enough cards that we could say, actually, Twilight was terrible.
Yes. Twilight is mathematically bad to the tune of like
Twilight is
0.2. Yeah, everything is overcosted by about 0.2.
So Twilight, for those who weren't there for that episode, we found that just being in Twilight, you had to spend some points of your card budget to be in Twilight.
Yep.
Making it terrible. So, did we learn anything about any other sets? I see a couple other sets on here.
Yes. So, one of the things that I do and that I've started to do more consistently is look set by set and run this regression. Essentially, I want to keep the understanding that I have overall because we have a larger card pool, but what I do is I run like a very simplified version of the regression on a per set basis. And running this simplified regression on a per set basis, and now I make plots with that go along with my standard. I've written like a way to do this cleanly. But by looking at this subset, I can get an idea of what the cost curve and what the spread of points is on a per set basis. So to talk a little bit about the outcome of this before I jump back into the variables that are in the big regression. One of the things that we can see, I like to use SOR as kind of like my base case because SOR, I think, you can make an argument that it's not really the base case anymore, that SOR arguably was better than like Shadows and Twilight and maybe even Jump to Light Speed. I don't know. We can have a gentlepersonly discussion about this. But SOR fundamentally had this idea, if we just are looking at the very simplest regression, where all we're going to consider are stats against cost, right? SOR, basically, for every point of total base stats, it costs you about half a resource. So with no like minimum. And again, this isn't completely accurate. This is not accounting for a lot of other things. This is just like, can I get a baseline of what the cost curve looks like? And so for SOR, every point of resource gives you about 2 points of stats.
Okay. Yep.
For Twilight.
And stats, we are specifically meaning, are we talking the attributes of power plus HP, or are we talking
power plus HP?
Stats?
Yeah,
okay.
Power plus HP.
Okay.
For Twilight, it was a little bit different, where the slope, if you think about this line, right? So SOR, the line basically goes through 0, and then the x-axis is your base stats, and then the y-axis is your cost, right? So y equals mx plus b. SOR has basically 0b, and then the m on the x is about a half, a little over a half.
Sure. Yeah.
So for TWI, you had a b that was negative. So the intercept fell below the line. So what that meant is that if you cost 0, you still had about 0.24 points worth of stats to play with.
Okay.
But
wait. Okay.
We're getting there. But the slope was steeper. It was 0.58. So what that meant is that your lower end units tended to be a little bit more aggressively priced in Twilight, but by the time you got out to like 3, 4, 5 cost, you were understated relative to where you were in SOR.
Which is wild. Like, I mean, given the pace of the game, 4 is not. I mean, that's turn 2.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why SOR felt the way it did, right? Because
Twilight felt the way it did.
Yeah, Twilight felt the way it did. So then if we look at the 2 new sets that have come out, Legend of the Force and Intro Battle of Hoth, Legend of the Force has both that negative B of 0.1, so it's less strong than it was at Twilight, but the slope is also below where it was at SOR. So what that means is, going back to that idea that was talked about in those dev diaries, you are trying to bump up the mid-range units. You're trying to make sure that the mid-range units are impactful, and that additionally, the outcome of this is also at the very high end, you also get very large units, but also at the low end, you get a little bit better stuff, and that's why you see those 2 4s, right? Like that constant, that negative constant feels good. Feels like, I personally like it. I'm happy to argue with people about things. But if we then compare it to Intro Battle of Hoth, Intro Battle of Hoth has a very negative initial constant of about negative a half. So you're getting a lot more bang at the low end. But the slope is radically higher. The slope is even higher than it is for Twilight, where it's about 0.62. So that means that, in general, the Intro Battle of Hoth units, the small units tend to be reasonably-ish costed, but by the time you're getting up to, again, like the 3, 4, 5 space, those units are just pretty miserable compared to where they would be for other sets. And the outcome of this is, if you look at the big regression, Intro Battle of Hoth is about twice as bad as Twilight is on a like cost per stats basis. I would have expected it to be even worse, but it's about twice as bad. So you're getting about almost half a stat point, 0.38 cost points of your budget are eaten up by being part of Intro Battle of Hoth.
And, that at first I was like, why would you make it that bad? But then I just realized it's the twofer of, like, you and I, we have no desire to go pick up those cards for ourselves, right? There's no need to flesh that out, except for any collector to flesh that out, except for maybe the weirdest cube. But also, I realized somebody pointed out to me the feel goodness for a aspiring Timmy, an 8-year-old who just got this box from his grandparents or her grandparents, and they play the game, they like it, they go buy a pack, pretty much every card in the pack.
Oh my God! Look at this common. This is amazing.
It's so much better than whatever you're getting in IBH, and so it's an immediate feel good upgrade that doesn't require you to actually really understand the game to know how to upgrade, because every card feels like a marginal improvement.
Strictly better.
Are we so okay? So Legends of the Force, the math goes up.
Yes, the math goes up. Is that Legends of the Force? Yes. So Legends of the Force, you get back about 0.1 cost point for being part of Legends of the Force. And this is right at the edge of statistical significance. This is like a p-value of 0.1, which is normally I throw things out that have a p-value slightly higher than 0.1, but I thought that this was enough of a borderline that I'm willing to keep it in.
Okay.
For right now.
So we may drop that as it becomes. It'll be interesting. Do you think? I mean, Legends of the Force might become less statistically significant as the New Balance makes up a larger.
So if that happens, what I'm very likely to do is I'm very likely to introduce a new variable called like post rebalance, right? Right. And that would cover every set post rebalance.
Is your set number 5+?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So okay. So the part that we love doing the most, the David Letterman style countdown.
Yes.
What is the 10th best NedMath unit?
Annihilator Taggy's flagship comes in at being undercosted by about 0.137. Sorry, 1.37.
Makes me sad. I love that card, but it makes the top 10. So, I mean, that card is absolutely a win more. I mean, You're going to see a lot of pretty win more cards here. I think you will also see a lot of very competitive cards here. Speaking of very competitive cards that are somewhat win more, number 9 is Crate Dragon, which is undercosted by 1.38. That's a lot of undercosting.
Yeah.
But Crate, I mean, and you know, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Crate's going to rotate out at the same time Force Throw rotates out. So, you know, is Crate Dragon actually good in and of itself, or is it just a fantastic throw target? I mean, you could put a lot. It may just be the best of the throwable targets for the decks that run it. Okay, number 8.
Number 8 is Wild Rancor, which is undercosted by about 1.41. I think this is largely due to the fact that the model doesn't really account for double aspect costs in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that because is it counting it as 2 aspects or 1 aspect?
It's counting it as 2 aspects, but like a 2 double aspect is a lot more taxing on your deck building than a normal double aspect. Right. But it's counting it as 2. Yeah.
It is counting. So it's getting that perk now that is statistically significant of having 2 aspects, even though it's not as competitively viable just because being in double red.
Exactly.
Is, okay. Number 7.
Number 7 is...
We're just giving the... We're just going whiplash here from competitively viable to not. You know,
Number 7 is Fireball and Explosion with Wings.
Which is tearing up this weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of PQs. You're seeing a lot of Fireball.
I mean, it's a real spicy boy, right? It's undercosted by about 1.47. So
How much are you? But how much is the NedMath taking into account its ability?
I'm taking into account as -1 hit point, -1 invisible hit point, because my expectation is it's probably going to die on turn 2.
Okay, so you're counting it as a 3/2 that costs 2.
No, I'm counting it as a 3/3 with -1 invisible hit point. This is different because invisible hit points are priced differently relative to standard hit points, because invisible hit points also account for things like experience tokens. It also accounts for other kinds of when a unit comes into play damaged, then it has negative invisible hit points.
Okay. So, all right.
Yeah.
So that was a really good card.
Yeah.
What would the next card maybe be less good?
I mean, I think in the right deck it's quite good. Is Invisible Hand Crawling with Vultures is undercosted by about 1.55. This is assuming that you're able to get full value off of the reveal and draw. Search. Yeah.
I would like it to be good because that is the one play set of silver pack cards that I got off of the prize wall. So I have a lot of these. I hope it is good. What is number 5 entering the top 5 of NedMath cards?
Number 5, just barely edging out Invisible Hand, is Kellerin Beck, the Sabered Hand. I think that is a competitive, if there is a Force Hero green deck, I think that you are absolutely including Kellerin Beck. No questions asked. I've seen, yeah.
He's like a home one, but on the ground.
Yeah.
So what's number 4, Ned?
Speaking of home one, his home one Alliance flagship is undercosted by about 1.62.
I would describe home one as a Kellerin Beck in the Space Arena.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's interesting though with all that restore.
With restore, and it draws you a card, right? These are the big things. Is that the drawing of a card? It is getting a card out of your discard pile, which is not quite drawing a card, but I value it at drawing a card.
Right, because the assumption is by the time you're at 7 resources, you have a decent 2 or 3 cost card in your pile. All right, the top 3.
Speaking of cards that draw you cards, Darth Vader Commanding the First Legion is number 3, being undercosted by 1.66. I mean, it's home 1, but with ambush and a resource cheaper, and putting potentially drawing you more than one card. Right?
Yeah. So no, he's still there. He's still there, but he's being beat out by 2 cards.
Yes. And this is where I think that is big, is helping to tamp this down somewhat, but these are sufficiently large that the is big is still not accounting for their sheer magnitude. And those are Devastator Inescapable at number 2, being predicted value of 11.81 with a cost of 10.0. I think that maybe I'm overvaluing the damage slightly on Devastator. I think that a lot of the damage is being wasted, and so I might want to reduce that slightly in my calculations.
As somebody who has played Devastator Inescapable a lot, you're never doing 10. You're almost never doing 10 damage. You're doing like 6, 7.
Yeah, I think that I will tune that down. The way that I've been handling right now, kill, is things that kill generally I value at about 5 hit points worth of, and I think that I'm just going to put Devastator in that same bucket going forward.
It's just a kill.
Yeah, it's just a kill. And number 1, and again, this is the stats are easy to quantify, and so the model sees the sheer amount of stats on this behemoth and says, boy howdy, you are undercosted to the tune of 2.11 resources, and that is Supremacy of Unimaginable Size. Because it's I think I'm valuing it at it's a 12/12, and then I'm valuing it at another 12/12. I'm assuming you have one other thing that it's buffing when it comes into play.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Right. Okay. So last time we did NedMath, we called it the fall of Moff Gideon's light cruiser. It's off the list entirely.
To
what do you attribute that?
It doesn't have
Vader is still there in top 3.
I mean, so it's still drawing you a card. It's still doing all of the good stuff. I think the main things are being in space is less valuable than it used to be. although
Right.
it still has some value, but it's less valuable than it used to be. And then it doesn't have ambush.
Aha. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I mean, like those are the two big ones.
And the model really likes ambush. Players really like
Yeah,
ambush.
ambush is a good ability. Yeah, the model thinks that ambush is worth about almost a whole stat point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, which still makes it hard to be undercosted. So,
Right.
all right, there you have it. The 10 new cards of NedMath. Let's talk about a little logistics.
Yes.
Some public logistics. My instinct is going forward. You would want to exclude IBH from the model.
That is what I'm going to be doing going forward. Yeah.
Right, and then come March, we would run essentially. Would you run 2 models? How are you going to handle? How does rotation get handled?
I think this is an open question. I think this has to do with whether or not how eternal formats are being played. If there is a sufficient amount of people playing non-rotating formats, then I think that I will continue doing that going forward. If not,
It's a lot of work to maintain.
It's not a lot of work to maintain because I've already written the code for most of the things, but it is an open question of the model is trying to say, like, read the minds of the designers, right? Like, we're trying to say, if I am the designer and I see a unit with these stats and this text box, what cost would I give it, right? And if design thinking has changed over time, and design thinking almost inevitably does, how informative are these older units? To the degree...
Would there be value in, like, putting out a negative set number where, like, the most recent set in the model is 0 and each set previous is -1, so that you could take into account how old the set is? Turns out being old makes you worse because you're before
right, or being old makes you better, or what? No, I mean, that is a bridge that I will be crossing when we come to it. And one of the key things that I'm bringing to NedMath is I look at the results, and the degree to which they are kind of ridiculous, I don't keep them, right? And I try and adjust the model so that it stops being ridiculous. For a given, it can be slightly ridiculous, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mildly interesting. We're over an hour, Ned. If you want to hear more, dear listener, about Eternal formats, tune in 2 weeks. Ned, do you have any final thoughts about this episode, about Galactics?
I had a really great time, and I hope that I'm invited back for another panel. Also, awesome. If you are going to PAX West, I'm going to take this moment in the spirit of our Polish champion. I am selling 50 copies of my board game Rex Regnat, which is about the Polish Constitution of 1791 at PAX West. If you hear this before PAX West and you're going to PAX West and you want to drop $40 on a board game about the Polish Constitution of 1791, show up at the Indian Night Market.
I will say it is, as somebody, there's probably nobody in the world who hates Rex Regnat more than me. And I think if you are interested in, if the idea of a card-based game on politics appeals to you, I cannot recommend it enough. I think you will be wowed. I think you will enjoy it. You will get the value of the money spent.
It's got a 16-page historical supplement.
Not winning me over. One person was like, ooh, Again, every time Ned brings a pitch for a board game to me, I'm like, yeah, but where are the lasers and the elves? Like, if there are no lasers and there are no elves, I'm out. Like, so that's our episode, dear listener. Episode number 40, which means that next episode we will buy a motorcycle, or
Corvette.
Say once you turn, once you turn 30, you've got we've got to either like start brewing beer, riding a bicycle, or start a podcast. We started a podcast, so that means maybe our podcast needs to start a podcast. I'm not sure how that works. We will see you, dear listener, in 2 weeks.
Adios.